Hello, I'm Captain Buck and I'm the Officer Strength Manager for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. What does that mean? I am in charge of all officer recruiting within the Oklahoma Army National Guard. Today I'm going to talk about several different commissioning options for basic branch officers or regular line officers. But first I would like to explain the differences in the officers that we recruit within our office. So we have specialty branch officers, warrant officers, and basic branch officers. Basic branch officers are the officers such as myself that you will usually see commanding a unit. And for the most part, when they are commanding, they are ultimately responsible for everything that happens within that unit, good or bad. Secondly, we have warrant officers. Warrant officers can be in command of a unit just like a basic branch officer. They have that command authority. However, warrant officers' most important role in the Army is to be that technical expert. So they come up through the Army ranks. They go to basic, they go to AIT, come up through the Army ranks, and they gain technical knowledge and that technical hands-on experience. So once they've been in that MOS for a while, they are ready to be swapped over as warrant officers. Now, what they do as a warrant officer is they have technical expertise for a small job, all right? And so commission or basic branch officers work on large levels. So we can cover several or all jobs and command all jobs or all MOSs, as you will. But warrant officers work in a small technical field, and that's why there are so many options for warrant officers as far as job type. And their job type has to correspond with the MOS that you are currently in or have that experience in. But to advise the commander on whatever that technical section is the warrant officer's job, because the commissioned officer or the basic branch officer that is commanding may or may not know that MOS or job intimately like the warrant officer does. So we have the warrant officer there to advise him on what should be done the right way. And lastly, the specialty branch officer. So specialty branch officers are brought into the Army because of the degree that they have and the time that they have spent in school. So we have JAG officers, which are lawyers. We have chaplains, which are clergy people of any religion, or medical officers, which there's a whole plethora of medical officers within the Guard and the Army, and they have all kinds of different certifications that they have. But the Army is interested in bringing them in as professionals, and so they don't require a commissioning source, as you will. They come in off of their civilian experience and their civilian education. So lastly, I would like to talk about the contact information that's up behind me. So if you have any questions about this video or any questions about what I go over, or Chief Cummings or Chief Holes, please contact us. We would love to talk to you about your future options as an officer. So the first number is my number. That's my cell phone number. Feel free to text or call it anytime. The second one is Lieutenant Stosher. He is the basic branch recruiter, so he is in charge of OCS and ROTC recruiting and commissioning for the state. The next one is Captain Pettit. She is over specialty branch recruiting, and like I mentioned, the JAG, the medical, and chaplain people that are interested could give her a holler. She would be able to direct you and give you basically a map. Even if you don't have your degree yet, give you a map to kind of see what courses you need to take and what path you need to follow to become a specialty branch officer if that's what you're interested in. The second to last one is the aviation recruiter, Chief Holes. And anything aviation, whether it's basic branch officer side or warrant officer side, he can help you out. And then last but not least, we have Chief Cummings, who is our warrant officer recruiter, and he deals with all things warrant officer. So please give him a call if that interests you at all. So I'm going to talk about basic branch commissioning sources. And then you're going to have Chief Cummings speak about warrant officers. And then finally, you will have Chief Holes speak about aviation and the aviation options. So I'm going to start off talking about ROTC, the eligibility and what ROTC looks like. So we'll start off with some of the general eligibility requirements for ROTC. You have to meet the requirements for the university, okay, to be accepted to the university. You have to pass the ASVAB. Now, there is no GT score requirement like there is for OCS, so you don't have to make a 110 GT to attend ROTC. You'll hear me talk more about the 110 GT later when I go over OCS. You have to be able to pass a Chapter 2 physical, so that's the physical when you go down to MEPS and get poked and prodded by all those medical professionals down there. You'll have to pass one of those. You have to be able to gain a secret security clearance. If you're already in, you probably already have one. Just know that you're going to have to be able to keep it. You have to be between the ages of 18 and 30 to receive all benefits of ROTC. Now, you can be older than that and go through ROTC, but there will be some monetary benefits you won't be able to receive. And myself or Lieutenant Stosher would be able to answer those questions on an individual basis. So if you have more questions on that, please call us. Locations within the state for ROTC. We have NSU down in Tahlequah, University of Central Oklahoma in Edmond, Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, the University of Oklahoma in Norman, and Cameron University down in Lawton. Now, the University of Central Oklahoma also has 4 other satellite campuses. One is Oklahoma Christian University, one is Oklahoma City University, Southern Nazarene University, and the last one is Langston University out in Langston, Oklahoma. So you could go through the same ROTC experience at any of those colleges through UCO ROTC. Next, I want to talk about some of the incentives that you can receive through ROTC. So you're going to be able to use your state tuition waiver to waive your tuition at those schools while you're attending ROTC. If you've been to AIT, you'll be able to use your GI Bill and possibly a GI Bill kicker if you earned that with your scores on your ASVAB. And then you'll get a cadet stipend, which will be $420 a month. You will get drill pay as an E5, which is about $319 a month. Now, there are scholarship opportunities within the ROTC program, and most people are eligible for scholarships. Not everybody can receive one, but if you apply, we can see if you're eligible. Now, what would you receive if you are eligible for a scholarship? You could receive $10,000 a year for room and board. Now, this doesn't go to the university. This goes straight into your pocket for you to use as you see fit. Preferably, you use it for room and board as you're going to school, but school's expensive. You need that money to pay for something, all right? So while we're on the scholarship, I'd like to talk a little bit more about what it means and the timeline. When do you start to receive this money? So with ROTC, you must be contracted for 2 years. So your junior and senior year, or if you're doing ROTC with your master's program, which you can, If you're going back to school for a 2 years master's, then you could do ROTC with it as well. That would allow you to have that 2 years. Knowing that you only have 2 years that you have to attend, especially if you're in the Guard, if you are coming in as a freshman and you are not in the Guard, you may have to attend your freshman and sophomore year of ROTC, but really those last 2 years are what's required. Now, I talked about contracting. What does contracting with ROTC mean? That means you have signed on the dotted line and said, yes, I'm going to commission through this program at this school. And so that is where, one, you are now binded to commission through that school. Second, you will start to receive those benefits, which I will go over later. We will have listed up behind me shortly about the full monetary benefits, and I'll go over those again, even though I've already talked about them. Now back to the Minuteman Scholarship. Now that we've talked a little bit about what contracting means, the scholarship would allow you to contract early. Okay, so we could get you possibly a 3 or 4 year Minuteman Scholarship, which would allow you to receive those monetary benefits, which I'll talk about in a minute, earlier as a freshman or possibly a sophomore. And most will not be able to receive those benefits until between their sophomore and junior year. Like I said, only 2 years of ROTC are required. So that's when most people contract. But if you got that scholarship, one, you'd get the $10,000 for room and board, because remember, the Guard is paying for your tuition waiver, and then, or your tuition is being waived at the school level, right, because of your membership in the Guard. And then you will receive all those other Guard benefits, which we'll have those numbers up here in a second. Eligibility, and this kind of goes with what I've said before, but you must be a U.S. citizen. You have to have a valid MEPS physical. You have to be able to be within height and weight standards. You cannot have turned the age of 31 on December 31st of your commissioning year. And like I said, you can still go through ROTC older. However, the benefits you cannot use. You had to have proof of acceptance into the participating university, proof of your academic major approved by the ROTC staff, proof of ACT scores, pass an OSM interview with my office, and then pass an interview with the professor of military science, which is that officer that is ultimately in charge of that ROTC program at the school. Now, there are several processing steps that'll be up behind me on my PowerPoint slide. However, I'm not really going to go into those. The most important thing is to contact myself or Lieutenant Stosher, and we will take you through the process. We'll have to build a packet. We will have to, like I said, get you an interview with the school. And there are several other documents that we will need to get your Minuteman ball rolling. But we will make sure that you get taken care of if you are eligible. So next I want to talk about some of the incentives as far as ROTC, the monetary incentives. And so we did a breakdown of the OU and the OSU monetary incentives. Now, this is the same across the state. Obviously, it's a little different. The tuition waiver number is a little different per school, but other than that, the monetary benefits are the same. Okay, so Oklahoma State incentives, about $3,000 per semester for tuition waiver. Cadet monthly stipend, $420. Drill pays an E5 is $319. Book stipend, $600 per semester. And then room and board, if you are eligible and we get you a Minuteman scholarship, you could receive $5,000 per semester. Like I said earlier, $10,000 a year that goes straight into your pocket not straight to the school, straight into your pocket to use as you see fit. Hopefully you're using it for room and board, but college is expensive, so use it where you see fit. And then you're non-deployable for the duration of ROTC. Now I want to caveat that with that is after you contract. Like I said, when you sign on the dotted line and you say, I'm going to commission through this program, that's when you become non-deployable. That's also when all the rest of those benefits kick in, minus the tuition waiver. If you've been to basic with the Oklahoma Army National Guard, your tuition waiver is there, and that is true no matter, as long as you're going to a state school. All right. Now you'll see the OU incentives up behind me. Again, pretty much the same as OSU. So I'll let you look at those and then we'll go on to the next slide. Now you will see a total breakdown of the dollar amounts. So you go ahead and pause this video and look on there. Just want to note real quick, it's $94,000 for one school and $89,000 for the other. That's quite a bit of money that between the Guard and ROTC we are providing you. Now remember that the $30,000 line on this PowerPoint slide is the Minuteman Scholarship. So if you did not receive it or you did not apply for it, you can just take that money off there. But the rest of the money is absolutely achievable through ROTC and the Guard if you were to attend ROTC. So next I'd like to talk a little bit about how the ROTC program flows. Okay, what the things you're required to do and what that looks like. So during the week, you're going to get up, you're going to do PT 3 to 5 days a week. That'll be fine. Keep that freshman 50 off, stay fit. We already know that being in the Guard and staying fit go hand in hand. But also, it'll help you on your civilian side as well. It's always good to be fit. I promise if you'll ask somebody in your family or somebody that you know that's a little bit older, did you stick with a fitness program when you were younger or now? And I guarantee you they're going to say either they wish they had or they did and they're glad they did. So that'll be good for your future in general. All right, maybe a little painful at the time, but it'll be okay. You're going to go to class, 1 hour class twice a week, just normal college class, where you're going to learn about leadership and what being an officer is all about. Then you're going to go to a lab 1 day a week, a 2 or 3 hour lab where you're going to learn about leading in the field. All these campuses have a place out in the woods that they'll take you, and you'll go out and you will practice, well, you'll learn and practice your skills of leading in the field. So then between your sophomore and junior year, you will attend a thing called Advanced Camp. Advanced Camp is where you will go and you will be evaluated on your leadership skills within the field. Once you come back from Advanced Camp, obviously you're a senior, you and your peers will lead the underclassmen. So you are planning the events on campus, whether it's the push-up board or a canned food drive or whatever it is that ROTC is doing that year. You all are going to plan it, and then you're going to issue the order to the underclassmen. And then you're going to supervise and refine as those plans are being carried out. So there, your whole senior year, you are receiving plenty of hands-on training as an officer before you've even commissioned. The last experience that you're going to receive is going and drilling at a Guard unit. You are going to shadow a Guard officer as a cadet. You will be slotted with a Guard officer, somebody who is actually leading a unit of soldiers. It'll probably be a platoon size element, but it could be anything. But the most important thing is that you're going to be linked up with that officer for the duration of ROTC, and you're going to be side by side with them, watching what they do, how they interact with soldiers, how they lead soldiers, and then they will start to hand you responsibilities as an officer, and you will learn from those tasks. So that's another bonus as far as ROTC that you will get from being in the Guard. Also, I did mention earlier that E5 pay, which is definitely nicer than E1 through E4 pay. So think about that as well. So that's pretty much the ROTC commissioning program in a nutshell. If you do have any questions regarding ROTC, please feel free to call Lieutenant Stosher or myself. We would love to talk more in detail about what your ROTC path looks like. Next, I'd like to talk about OCS and eligibility for OCS. And then we'll talk about our OCS programs within the Oklahoma Army National Guard. So, eligibility for OCS. There's that GT score of 110. When you go to MEPS and get into the armed service, you will take a thing called the ASVAB. When you take this ASVAB, there will be several line scores listed on your ASVAB score sheet. These line scores line up with some of the MOSs and say if you are going to be qualified or not. The GT score we use for officers, also the other MOSs, but it is used for OCS. You must have a 110 in the GT field to attend OCS. Now, if you're already in the Armed Forces or the Guard and you don't have a GT of 110, we can help you in the OSM shop. We have several courses you can attend. We supply drill weekend tutoring. So if you wanted to talk to your commander and your unit and get it and split train with us and come drill with us, and we could tutor you on the GT test, reading and mathematics and word knowledge, and then you could go take the test, and we can help you with getting enrolled to take the test as well. So please let us know if you have a problem with your GT. If it's too low, we can help you with that. And that goes for the warrant officer side as well. Chief Cummings is going to talk more about it when we get to his section, but we can help you on the warrant officer side as well, because you all require 110 GT on the warrant side just the same. You must have 90 college credit hours as a minimum for traditional and accelerated OCS, which I'll get into here in a second. You got to commission prior to your 42nd birthday. You have to be a citizen of the United States, have a secret security clearance, or a clearance request submitted. You got to be able to pass physical, medical, and legal standards. So this is a big deal, and it's a big deal for warrant officer accessions as well, and actually just across the board for officer accessions. So you got to be able to pass a physical. I've talked about it several times. It's that physical where you go to MEPS and you get prodded on by all the medical people. You got to be able to pass that. And come hand in hand with that is medical issues. If you have a medical issue, you've had some kind of major surgery or something like that, we need to know about that up front. It may exclude you from attending OCS. More than likely not. We simply need to work a waiver so that you can attend OCS or WOCS or whatever it is. So we need to know about those medical issues up front. And then criminal issues, okay? So any tickets at all, we need to know about those. Any criminal charges that you have that are currently going on or that have happened in the past, even if they're expunged or you think they're gone completely, they still need to be acknowledged in your paperwork, because sometime down the road, it could be looked at, and you may be going up for promotion for captain, and they may find this thing that you never admitted on your documentation, and you may go back to the enlisted side as a specialist or whatever you were before. So it's very important that you let us know any issues that you have, because every time you're promoted, they will look back at your criminal record, and if they find something, there could be issues. So please let us know about that so we can help you just get a waiver. We're not going to judge you in any way. We're going to assist you in getting that waiver and move it on into your commissioning source. So now that I've talked about a few of the requirements for OCS, I'm going to talk about the courses that we have and kind of what they involve. So first we have traditional OCS. Now this OCS is 18 months long. That seems long, right? However, it's that traditional guard schedule that you're used to. 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer. You're going to drill up at RTI in Oklahoma City, just off of 63rd and Kelly. And you will drill there. So you'll drill there for phase 0, which is when we're just getting you ready for OCS. You will go to a 2-week AT, which is phase 1 of OCS. Then you'll come back and you will drill phase 2 for about a year. And then you will finish up with another 2-week AT, which will be phase 3 in a July time frame. Once you pass phase 3, you are basically a commissioned officer. You'll wait till September for the actual commissioning ceremony. However, you've passed OCS at that point. Just don't get into trouble and you will be good. This course is for people who have maybe a lot of family commitments that you have, and you can't just cut 56 days out of your schedule and go and attend accelerated OCS. Or if you're trying to finish your degree, maybe you're trying to get a master's degree, or you have a real serious job and you just can't, like I said before, leave for 56 days and go to an accelerated OCS program. It is very good for that. And then lastly, in traditional OCS, it's taught by OCS cadre from Oklahoma. So during that phase 2 and the phase 0, you're going to have those Oklahoma cadre there that actually care that you become a knowledgeable officer. And so they're going to put that time and effort into you. And you're also going to be attending with Oklahomans. So guys that are in the Guard here in Oklahoma, and they are going to be your peers throughout your time as an officer. So you already have friends that you're going to commission with and have a network that you can call when you run into issues further down in your career. Next, I'd like to talk about accelerated OCS, which is a 56-day in-residence course. We ship people to that twice a year. So one time in January, which is for winter accelerated, and one time at the end of May, which is summer accelerated. Now on the front side of that, we need you to come to about 5 drills at the RTI just to prep you, get your paperwork ready. We'll do some land nav. We'll do some preparation for OCS classes to get you ready. And the traditional guys would be a part of those drills as well. And we're also working on getting you physically ready. So there is a little bit of drilling time on the front end. For the winter accelerated, that starts in September. And for the summer accelerated, the drilling portion starts in February. And like I said, we're just prepping you for OCS during that time when you actually shipped, and those are only weekend drills. And you're not drilling with your unit at that time, just prepping with us for OCS. And then you will take on the 56 days of OCS starting end of January or end of May, depending on which one that you attend. And one thing I didn't mention was when the traditional class ships. We ship it once a year, and they will leave for phase 1 at the beginning of June every year. Now remember, there's those 4 or 5 drills prior to that is phase 0 starting in February, just the same as the summer accelerated. So that is the OCS course overview. So if you're interested in any of those, you can call myself or Lieutenant Stosher. We would love to talk more in detail about what your path looks like to attending OCS. So lastly, when you attend Officer Candidate School, you will be paid as an E5. And if you currently have student loan repayment in your contract, you will be able to keep student loan repayment through your current ETS, even though you commission. Okay, so if you got into the Guard, say June of 2020, and you signed a 6-year enlistment, you would be able to use that student loan repayment all the way through 2026, even if you commissioned in there somewhere. All right? Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the Gold program, which goes hand in hand with accelerated OCS. The Gold program is a program that is designed to train you to go and crush accelerated OCS. And I'm about to tell you how we do that. But I want to start off with the locations of the Gold program schools. So we have Rogers State University out in Claremore, and then we have SWASU down in Weatherford. Now, you're gonna drill on campus with our cadre at that university. And that is mostly because we want you to do what college kids do on the weekend, all right? So you're gonna get paid for attending that lab during the week instead of drilling on the weekends. I'm only gonna ask about 4 to 5 weekends a year for you as a Gold student. Now, before I get into all the details about the Gold program, let's talk a little bit about eligibility, okay? So you have to meet National Guard enlistment criteria. So if you're in, you've already done that. If you've been to basic and AIT. You do need to go to basic and AIT to come into the Gold program. If you're not in the Guard yet, maybe that's something you're interested in, but you have to be eligible to enlist in the Guard to get into the Gold program. You have to be able to complete basic training in AIT, which I already mentioned. You have to agree to enroll as a full-time student at RSU, Rogers State University, or SWASU. You have to be able to pass an approval board, and that'll mostly consist of our cadre at each school. At Rogers State University, also they have a board with the school that you will have to attend and pass prior to joining the Gold program at RSU. You have to attain a GT of 110 by the end of your sophomore year. So if you don't have it when you're joining the program, that's fine. We would like for your GT to be close to 100 when you join. But like I said, in the OSM shop, we can help you retest. We can help you study. So don't worry about that. Just ensure you contact us and let us know what you need help with. All right, so now I'm ready to talk about the timeline for the Gold program. We prefer you start out as a freshman. You could start out as a sophomore or possibly a junior, but that involves you sitting down with us, my OICs and NCOICs at the program, and we'll decide if that's a good fit for you. But starting out as a freshman, you're going to come into our program, be enrolled at one of those schools full time. You're going to do PT in the morning, all right? 5 days a week. Like I said before, keep that freshman 50 off. Stay fit. Help you in the civilian career. We'll help you with your military career, whether you become an officer or not. You're going to attend class 2 hours each week. You're going to have a lab time, and this lab you will be paid for. So you will receive a drill check every month for attending lab instead of attending on drill weekend. After your freshman year, you will attend an annual training, and wherever we go that year, basically it'll look very much like the first 2 weeks of OCS. We're going to bring you in, we're going to put you through some classes, we're going to do some physical training, but then you're going to lead your peers throughout the entire time, whether we're in garrison, in the barracks and attending classes, or if we're in the field, and we will do a little bit of field time as well. It will be a good time. It'll be definitely pressing physically and mentally, but it'll give you that introduction to Army leadership and what OCS will look like for you. That's only 2 weeks in the summer, all right? We will do a fall and spring FTX, which will be 1 weekend each. And then during that annual training, obviously there are 2 weeks in there, 2 weekends in there. And you know how I said originally, only 4 to 5 weekends. So those are the 4 weekends I ask of you. We may have to add one more if we cannot get a medical event, because we have to stay up on our medical things. But as long as we can fit that medical event in, and we usually do, you only owe me 4 actual weekends for the gold program for your freshman year. Sophomore year, same schedule, all right? Class, 2 days a week for 1 hour each. You're going to go to lab, which you're still going to get paid for. You're going to go to do PT in the morning, probably 5 days a week, all right? Keeping you fit. Now, between your sophomore and junior year, we're going to send you to BLC, Basic Leader Course. This is a course that usually E4s go to when they are about ready to become an E5, a sergeant, and start their leadership in the Army. So you're going to go there and get an intro to Army leadership. And even though it's on the enlisted side, you will gain that leadership knowledge. And it will give you a step up as you attend OCS later in your college career. So once you finish your summer, attend BLC, you'll start your junior year. Same program, PT in the morning, 2 1-hour classes a week. You're going to go to lab, you're going to get paid for it for drill. We will do a fall and spring FTX, 1 weekend each. And then after your junior year is where I'm going to break a little bit of my promise to you. You're going to attend that 56-day accelerated OCS. But when you come back, you will be a lieutenant. And if you've done that freshman, sophomore, and junior year and worked like you need to, then you will crush it at OCS. And I'm about to tell you why. Because when you come back as a lieutenant, your senior year, you are going to mentor, plus we're going to change the program as per the things that you have learned at OCS. So every year we update to what our candidates experience at OCS when they come back as lieutenants. Also, for your whole senior year, you are there, 1, being mentored by my OICs, but 2, you are mentoring all the underclassmen and telling them exactly what they need to do to pass OCS. So for 3 years, you are working with experts in the OCS field because they've just passed it. And that's how I can guarantee that you will go and crush it at accelerated OCS after your junior year. So you come back your senior year to us and finish your degree, obviously still being mentored by my OIC and NCOIC, still attending our classes and labs. Once you graduate, then you will move on to BOLC. And I hadn't mentioned this yet, but BOLC is in coordination with all commissioning sources in the basic branch. What is BOLC? It's your basic officer leader course. You're going to go there and you're going to learn about the branch that you're going to serve in. You're going to learn about what the people in that branch do and how to lead within that branch. It's about 4 months long, and it's nothing like your basic training, a little bit like AIT, a little bit laid back instruction, but think of it more as a college course. You're going to live in apartment style living, and you will do PT in the morning, but then you'll only attend class about 8 to 5 or so. The rest of the time will be yours, and most weekends are off. Now you will do some field time, so during that week or two you'll be in the field obviously, but the rest of the time it's very much a college type learning environment where you're learning how to lead in that branch. So back to the gold program. You are non-deployable for the duration. So from freshman year to senior year, when you graduate, even the senior year where you're a lieutenant and getting paid as a lieutenant, you're non-deployable. Now, during your senior year, you may drill with your unit a little bit because you're now a lieutenant. You're actually slotted in a unit. However, we are going to protect you from any long training exercises and any mobilizations because we want you to complete your degree. Then you can move on to be a qualified officer at that unit. A few other incentives besides being non-deployable for the duration. You have the state tuition waiver. So you're going to use that. GI Bill, you can use that as well. Up to 100% dorm scholarship. So every gold student gets a free dorm room, okay? And I'm going to continue to give those free dorm rooms away until the school says we can't anymore. But currently, we're still giving them away. Every gold student gets a free dorm room. Books and fees scholarships, that mostly pertains to RSU students. And it is assessed by the RSU board, and you would find more about that once you go to the board and are assessed. Also, book and fee scholarship at RSU. All other enlisted incentives are available when you enlist and after you complete basic and AIT. So your kicker and your student loan repayment. And like I mentioned a couple times before, you are non-deployable for the duration of the Gold program. So it's a great way to couple your Army Leadership School with your actual degree at each one of those universities. So if you are interested in any of the basic branch commissioning sources that I spoke about, please don't hesitate to call or text us. You have our numbers that's at the beginning of this video. If you've joined the Guard and you're watching this through some kind of on-ramp, or maybe you just joined the Guard and you're watching this online somewhere, you've earned those education benefits, that tuition waiver, that GI Bill, student loan repayment. Please go out and earn your degree or some sort of certification. You've done the time, you've done the work to earn that. Go out and earn that degree. Whether you become an officer, warrant officer, or you stay on the enlisted side, which is important as well. Next, I would like to introduce Chief Cummings, and he's going to talk more about the warrant officer field. And then after him, you'll hear from Chief Holes, who will be talking about the aviation side. Now, I would like to add, before I end my portion, when Chief Holes talks about aviation, that applies to basic branch officers as well. Now, he's going to talk about the aviation board and requirements. If you go to that aviation board, even after you have commissioned, and you get accepted, you are going to be and our Oklahoma Army National Guard aviator. So if that sounds cool to you and you think you've got what it takes and you meet all the requirements, definitely give Chief Holes a call. Also, myself or Lieutenant Stocher could speak to that as well if that's what you're interested in. I appreciate you listening to the basic branch portion of this video, and here's Chief Cummings.
Hello. I'm Chief Warrant Officer 3 Rafe Cummings, the Warrant Officer Strength Manager for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. I'd like to take a little time to tell you about Army Warrant Officers, opportunities in the Oklahoma Army National Guard, and how you could become a Warrant Officer. The Army Warrant Officer is a technical expert, combat leader, trainer, and advisor. Through progressive levels of expertise in assignments, training, and education, the Warrant Officer administers, manages, maintains, operates, and integrates Army systems and equipment across unified land operations. Warrant officers are integrators of emerging technologies, dynamic teachers, confident warfighters, and developers of specialized teams of soldiers. We support a wide range of Army missions throughout our careers. Warrant officers in the Army are assessed with specific levels of technical ability. They refine their technical expertise and develop their leadership and management skills through tiered progressive assignments and education. What does that long definition mean? Warrant officers are Army leaders and highly specialized technicians that make up less than 3% of the Army. There are 28 different technical warrant officer specialties in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. There's a great chance that your military occupational specialty is a feeder MOS for a warrant officer position in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. While different warrant officer MOSs have their own requirements, there are some basic across-the-board requirements that apply to all career fields. You must have an ASVAB GT score of 110 or above. You can't have reached 46 years old prior to appointment as a technical warrant officer. You must be a U.S. citizen, either by birth or naturalization, have a secret or interim secret security clearance, pass physical, medical, and legal standards. And this one's key to becoming a technical warrant officer. You must have documented leadership experience in a feeder MOS for the warrant officer MOS you are pursuing. What does the process of becoming a warrant officer look like? The first step is the predetermination process. This process involves completing an application packet that is submitted to the Army proponent in which you want to become a warrant officer. It's an extensive packet that highlights your military experience, especially your leadership experience in your career field. You'll be responsible for completing a templated warrant officer resume and getting letters of recommendation from your company commander, battalion commander, and a senior warrant officer serving in the MOS to which you are applying. Your last letter of recommendation will come from the Command Chief Warrant Officer of the Oklahoma National Guard. We will pull the remaining required documents from your personnel file. Once you are determined to be technically qualified to become a warrant officer in your particular MOS, you'll undergo a Chapter 2 commissioning physical, and a federal recognition packet will be prepared and submitted to our State Officer Management Branch. You'll be required to do an in-person interview before a board of officers and warrant officers to determine if you have the physical, moral, and leadership qualities it takes to be a successful leader in the Oklahoma Army National Guard. If you successfully complete predetermination and federal recognition requirements, you'll be enrolled in Warrant Officer Candidate School and Warrant Officer Basic Course. There are two options for Warrant Officer Candidate School. You can choose the Active Component Residence Course at Fort Rucker, Alabama. This is a 35-day in-residence course. Classes start roughly every 2 weeks at Fort Rucker, so there is a good degree of flexibility in scheduling. A more Guard-centric option is the National Guard Regional Training Institute Warrant Officer Candidate School. This program consists of 5 drills and a 2-week annual training period. And there's usually a 0 drill at the beginning, so you can count on 6 months of drill and an AT period. Most Oklahoma Guard soldiers attend the Kansas RTI Warrant Officer Candidate School at Salina, Kansas for the drill portion. The Texas RTI is used for those Guard members that live further south. The annual training portion is usually conducted at Camp Atterbury, Indiana, or Fort McClellan, Alabama. When you have completed Warrant Officer Candidate School and are appointed as a warrant officer, you will attend Warrant Officer Basic Course. This specialized training prepares you to be a technical and tactical expert in your concentration and an effective leader, instructor, and advisor to both subordinates and commanders who depend on you. By becoming a warrant officer in the Oklahoma Army National Guard, you can earn increased influence on policies and procedures that affect the Oklahoma Army National Guard, challenging assignments, expanded career opportunities, advanced technical training as a subject matter expert in your field, advanced leadership training as an Army officer, streamlined time and grade promotions, and increased pay and retirement benefits. If you're ready to become a warrant officer in the Oklahoma Army National Guard, give us a call at 405-658-7176. Accept the challenge.
Hi, my name is Chief Warrant Officer 3 Ryan Holtz. I'm the Aviation Strength Manager for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. I want to take just a few minutes to explain to you some of the opportunities we have in the field of aviation for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. Currently, we have open vacancies for pilot positions in 2 aircraft, the UH-60 Blackhawk and the CH-47 Chinook helicopters. The application for this is fairly simple, but I just want to cover some of the main hurdles you might find when you're looking into applying to these positions. First off, you have to have a GT score of a 110. After that, you have to be able to pass the Selection Instrument for Flight Training Test, also known as the SIFT. PT-wise, you got to be able to score 80% in each event on the 3-event PT test. Once that's complete, the State Aviation Office hosts 2 boards a year that is required to attend, and if you receive a favorable vote, then you get to move on and pass the Army's flight physical position, which is kind of a 2-part flight physical that is kind of extensive, but nothing to worry about. You can get through it. All right, once you're done with your flight physical, depending on what type of commissioning program you're pursuing is going to decide what would happen next in the process of becoming an aviator. And the other strength managers can give you more in-depth details over the different courses like OCS and WOCS, things like that. But right now, I want to give you a real quick overview of what you can expect during the initial entry rotary wing course, also known as IERW. This course is located at Fort Rucker, Alabama, and sometimes it can take as long as a year. Some of the training you can expect to receive is going to include the Helicopter Over Water Survival Training Device, also known as Dunker, and you're going to have to complete the challenging course of the SEER Level C located there at Fort Rucker. All of this before you even get in an aircraft and start flying. Once you do start your initial flight training, it's going to be split up into a couple different parts. It's going to be called contact, instruments, and basic warfighting skills. All of this is going to be done before you even get to your advanced airframe, either the Black Hawk or the Chinook. Once you get in your advanced airframe, there's going to be even more in-depth training, and you'll get qualified in different modes of flight to include day, night, instrument, and night vision goggles. It's a very challenging, but even more rewarding career path to take if you decide to accept the challenge. If you do, please contact me. My contact information will be below. Stay healthy, stay safe, and fly Army.